Hey, all, my name's Bryant Young.
And Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads Podcast.
That's right.
Brand new episode this week, folks.
Yep, another good one. Again, it was so good we recorded it twice.
Yeah, again, I am not very good at pressing or plugging in the right things. So
inserting things into holes are hard for Bryant. But nonetheless, we had a great episode.
It was a lot of fun.
It was fun talking to Joel, man. He brought some good stuff to the episode, man.
Joel Thomas is a buddy of mine. He's an architect, and we do a bunch of networking stuff together, and he had a bunch of fun stories and talking about two working parents, like highly professional parents, and having a newborn and changing jobs all during the pandemic.
Right.
It was a cool story. So
stressful, challenging, but I think it sounded like he learned a lot from it, and they learned
very
a lot
much
from
so.
it, and they were able to grow from it. And then just some funny stories that every dad, every parent can relate
for
to.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, yeah. Listen till the end because the potty training / ped story is epic.
Oh yeah, it's serious. So get yourself to the end for sure. So without further ado, I think we just start this thing.
Yep, let's do it.
Perfect. Decent Dads Podcast. Here we go. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the Decent Dads Podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome, he's a 6'3" junior shooting guard from small town Missouri. He wishes he was a first-team All-American, but instead, he's the coolest co-host with the most, a fantastic father of two, and the home loan expert. Folks, put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Derek Chaney. How are you, Derek? Anything weird going on today?
Doing fabulous. Got introduced twice on this podcast, but I think people are probably only going to see it once.
Oh, boy.
Round two. Here we
Hey,
go.
a little bit of technical difficulties today, folks, because I'm a rocket scientist.
Well, you know what, Brian? It's a good day for a good day.
It's
okay?
a good day despite my shortcomings.
We got our hoppy coffee. Got a great guest. That's right. No,
we're gonna need some more hoppy coffee in here.
I am excited. I guess I did mention this the first time we recorded this.
Don't know what you're talking about. This is the first time we've talked about this.
It is a beautiful day today. About 75 sunny on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, we probably should have recorded this outside, but
I still think, and we joked about this the first time we were recording this, but I still think there's an opportunity for us to go set up, whether on the front porch or in the backyard. I think it would be funny to just set up with the dad jorts and have the grill next to us and go tend to the grill.
Chairs.
Exactly,
Yes.
old school lawn chairs, set all that up.
Ooh, yeah.
And just
I
go
that.
Yelling at kids on your lawn.
I love
Hey,
it. Get out of my, I just mowed that. Get out of there.
That's funny.
And just do that for an episode. Really live up to our New Balance sneakers up there.
Yep.
So
get some of those bad boys on. Be good to go. Good to go. But no, man, I'm excited. We got a great guest.
Yeah.
I've actually got to know him a little bit over the first 30 minutes today. But outside of that, I think I've met Joel a couple times around town, so I don't really know him too well. But I know Bryant, you and Joel know each other a little bit better.
yeah, doing networking stuff with the chamber and beyond all around town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joel, if you will, tell us who you are, what you do, give us your dad resume.
Yeah.
Lost a toothpick there.
That's all right.
Got it. Tell us how many kids you got, what are their ages, and which one's your favorite?
Yeah, once again.
Get those jokes in early and often, boys. Go right ahead.
Joel Thomas. I am a local architect with Buff Studio, office downtown. My wife is Amanda. She is a CPA at Forvis.
Yeah.
Once BKD. For those of you who know BKD. Two kids. Bradley, our daughter, she's 8, and Baylor, the boy, 3. Which I do have to say quite often. Every time we go to the doctor.
We didn't talk about that. Yeah.
Oh, how's he doing? We're like, she. And
She.
Then Baylor, the same thing. How's she doing?
I didn't think about that.
It's a he.
Every time.
How did you come by the names?
So Bradley was a girl that when my wife was a lifeguard at Southern Hills Pool in high school back in the early 2000s, there was a girl named Bradley that she was the best girl. And so
Cool.
when we first started dating, my folks live up in Northern Illinois. So when we would take trips up there, it was like, okay, we got 7 hours. Let's talk about something. What's our favorite whatever? What's our favorite movies?
Cool.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, what's our favorite names if we have a kid someday?
Nice.
And so it was always like, we really liked Bradley for a girl.
Cool.
And then but we never found out what we were going to have for either of them.
Oh.
Oh,
it
you
was
guys
always
played
like-
that game, huh?
So it's like,
You're
okay, if it's
brave.
a girl, it's Bradley.
Brave.
If it's a boy, we don't know for sure. Luckily, it was a girl for the first one. And then I don't know where Baylor came from. I think we just we heard it and we were like, that sounds good with Bradley. Like
Sure.
Yeah.
Baylor and Bradley.
Two B's.
Bradley and
There you
Baylor.
go.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
hanging
yeah.
out.
That's cool. I love that.
But yeah, they're completely flip flopped. Like it could be either one, boy or girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
but
both
That's a good
of them.
point.
that
yeah.
makes complete sense. Sure.
Man, yeah, that's. I was thinking because those are both colleges as well, and so I thought
Also
one of you
true.
went
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Bradley and one of you went to Baylor, and I was like, well, that makes sense. But
Yeah, that does make more
Every
sense.
year when the NCAA, when we have our Bradley will fill out a bracket, and she's like, she has Baylor going the whole way.
Absolutely, as you've got to supporting the
right. What a good
siblings.
sister.
The school Bradley,
Exactly.
The school Bradley's never in the NCAA tournament, unfortunately.
They've got a
Sorry.
really good arts program. So, speaking of your kids, we talk about a couple of things every episode. And the first, of course, we start with everybody's favorite tantrum of the day, because whether you've got a 6-week-old or a 6-month-old or a 16-year-old, they're still probably having tantrums. Tell us your story about family tantrums again. I mean, for the first time.
So, as I said,
here first.
here in the first KY3,
God dang
we have not had a true blue, what you would think of as on the ground screaming, kicking tantrum, and hopefully we never do. Hopefully we never see it.
Yeah.
My wife made sure to tell you guys we don't have the secret sauce. It's not like we are oh yeah, we're doing all these things.
No, I just
This
wonder
is
when your
why.
book's coming out. Like you guys are writing a book. It's
Yeah, it's called a lot of.
it's called How I Parent.
We do keep their diet real clean. We do keep their screen time down, and we think that helps with the ebbs and flows and highs and lows of
Yeah.
their
That makes sense.
attitude.
Yeah.
So they're kind of in the middle. We try to keep it that way.
Really like that.
Our son is much more stubborn and much more hard-headed, and he, with having an older sister, he always, whatever she's doing, he wants to do it, or whatever she's having, he wants to have, and so he will get whiny, but never full-blown tantrum. And we were super lucky with Bradley when she was born. I mean, when she was 2, their sitter would say, she can reason. You say, we're not gonna do this because of these reasons, and she'd be like, okay.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. You
Like an
convinced
adult.
me. Yeah. Wow.
And so I think he sees how she acts, and he's like, well, she's not throwing tantrums. I guess I can't do that either. So I don't know. We've just been lucky.
That's
Must be
awesome.
Gosh.
What about
Must
you,
be
DC?
nice, yeah.
Because you guys don't have any tantrums ever.
No, never. 2 boys, year and a half apart, never. But what kind of brought one on, I guess you call it tantrum. Yeah, I feel like I should ask this question because I asked it the first time around.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have either one of you guys had to remove a splinter from the little ones?
Not yet.
Yeah.
You got anything?
I have had one.
Yeah.
You had one coming out of their ankle, right? Big long one.
Like a nail.
Yeah, like a nail. Yeah. This thing was 6 inches long. But no. So we've actually had to do it to both boys. A couple months ago, we had to remove one for Brody. He's our younger one, year and a half, and he watched us do it the whole time. We was really dreading it because of his age. We thought he was going to lose it, and he watched us pull it out. He was stoic the whole time.
Stone faced.
Just didn't bother him a
Serial
bit.
killer.
And
Yeah,
I
right?
know, kind of creepy. But
Kid is strong.
yeah, but we was like, okay. Well, Liam finally got one in his hand this week, a couple days ago, and it was right in between his thumb and his pointer finger. So he, he kind of hides it when he closes his hand there. And Liam's our high emotion kid. We knew going into this was going to be a big deal. And so we was like, all right, let's just prepare ourselves. And so we get him down on the floor. And I'm laying across his legs, and I'm holding a hand with one hand, holding the flashlight with the other. Allie has him in her jujitsu hold, legs locked around his chest, so he can't really move. And she's holding
Arm bar. Get the arm bar.
right. She's holding the hand with the splinter in it with one hand, and she's got the tweezers with the other, trying to get it, and he keeps like clenching his hands so he can't get to it, and just crying, just losing it. Tears are rolling down his face, and
poor guy.
You can't really explain to a 3-year-old that, hey,
this is for your benefit.
Right?
This is a good thing.
I know this is painful now, but once it's over, it's going to help you.
Yeah. And did it actually hurt him, or was he just scared of the pain? Which might have been.
I honestly, I think it was actually hurting him because
okay.
it had been in there a couple days. Because like he'd come up to me and been like, "Dad, my thumb hurts. I need a Band-Aid." And I'm like, typical dad. I'm like, "Oh, you're fine.
Rub some dirt in it. You'll be all right."
No, our thing is like, I'm like, say, "I'm tough," and he's like, "I'm tough," and then he just walks away. Then luckily, Allie is a lot more motherly,
smarter,
and he tells her that, and she's like, "Oh, let me see it." And so she looks at his thumb, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a splinter in there," and I was like, "Wow, I feel bad as a dad now, right?" But yeah, I don't think we ever actually got it out during this whole 30-minute ordeal of holding him down. But I do think we like broke the skin enough to where like when he was sucking his thumb that night, it actually came out that way, because it's 2 days later. It's not red and puffy anymore.
As long as it's out of there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I could say, yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, cross that off the old dad checklist there.
Well.
So.
Joel, you talked about it earlier, like the traditional tantrum. That's what we were dealing with this week. Elsie was face down, like nose smushed into the floor, screaming at the top of her lungs, and just like swinging her hands at the floor and kicking her feet over something, just a nothing, like a nothing tantrum. It was like, now that I was thinking about it, because I've had plenty of time to think about what it actually was that caused this, it was a piece of candy that had gotten rolled under the couch, and I had pulled it out, and she wanted to have it, and I was not going to let her eat a moldy, like covered in dirt piece of candy that had been under the couch.
Maybe next time you just let her put that in her mouth.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, that might actually
One
avoid,
way to learn.
just keep this kid on the level, right? Yeah. But she was, it was full blown cartoon character, Bugs Bunny, like, just screaming at the top of her lungs.
Super dramatic. Yep.
And Liv and I couldn't do anything about it. Like there's no fixing that with my daughter. I mean, we've joked about the whole like hand holding thing and like some of those that does not work for our household, where you're like trying to hold their hands and count to 10 or
right.
breathe real deep and then you blow on their face so they think it's funny. Doesn't work.
Yep.
She just gets mad at and stops being mad at the candy she's not able to eat and just starts yelling at me instead. Right. And so now it's my problem, and I don't really want to.
Which would you rather have?
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to let her be mad at the little piece of candy that she couldn't have. So,
yeah, she was just laying there on the floor, just losing it,
screaming her brains out. and it's to the point now, like Elsie and I my wife and I are just looking at each other, going, "Wow, I mean, I guess we're just gonna." Right. I guess we'll just sit here and watch, because there's nothing really much to do at that point.
Free entertainment at that point, right?
What would you have done anything at that point?
Just put a blanket over it. Cover it up.
That's what I was looking for. Exactly. Just here, maybe we'll try to make something fun out of this.
Just like throw pillows on it, just keep throwing shit on her until
right.
She kind of is like, "Oh, this is."
We're trying to have fun.
This is fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I actually kind of don't hate that thought process now that we're talking about it. I'm
going to steal the blanket idea.
Unfortunately, our boy's so stubborn. When he had a splinter, he was like, we were giving him the whole, if we don't get it out, it's going to get infected and we have to go to the doctor and he's going to cut your thumb off. And he was like, I don't care. I don't care.
Take it. I can live with 9. I'm good. Take it.
That's
he can have it.
He is.
Wow.
That's so good, though.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We used to do that to Liam and Brody whenever they'd be like, "Oh, this hurts, that hurts." I'd be like, "All right, should we cut it off or kiss it?" And used to, they'd be like, "Cut it off." So you gotta pretend that you're cutting it off, and now Liam's realized like, "Oh, Mom will kiss it; she'll be affectionate." And so now he doesn't say that.
Cut
anymore.
it off. Just take the arm. Just take the arm.
Cut me, Mick.
Cut me, Mick.
Well, Joel, the other thing we always ask everybody is, give us your best dad hack.
Dad hack alert.
Or maybe your best dad advice that you got.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that we try to keep their diets pretty clean, and so one of the hacks that we do and we've done for a long time is just we meal prep a lot of things. And so whether it's lunch or dinner, I usually do the breakfast part. So we'll do a big pound of bacon on the weekend, do a box of pancakes, freeze the pancakes, put the bacon in the fridge, and then every morning just quickly 15 seconds heat it up. Here you go. Here's breakfast. I can go on to getting ready for work and stuff that just they always say what do today what you don't want to. What is the quote like?
Right.
Don't put off today what you can.
Yeah,
don't put off for tomorrow for what you can do today or something like that.
Yeah, or like in other words, just do the stuff you don't want to do tomorrow today.
Right.
When you've got the time to do it.
Do it, and then during the week when all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, I had too many drinks last night. Oh gosh, we gotta have the kids at school in 30 minutes.
Let's go.
Then you can quickly just heat up the breakfast.
Okay, I want to ask more about that though. Like, you guys do meal prep for several meals, I assume, not just breakfast. What else? What are like a few of the go-tos that you're working on the weekend for like dinners?
So now it's getting warm, a lot of grilling. So actually today, we already had 4 pounds of burger defrosting when we left. Yeah.
Sweet.
We'll just cook up 10, 12 burgers, and then we can just heat them up during the week.
Sweet.
Chop up some vegetables, roast them at night, and we're done. Just stuff that you can quickly get done.
Question on the burgers: when you reheat them up, do you have a secret to keeping them moist, or are they pretty dry?
I undercook them on the grill, and then we also, if you put a wet paper towel on them, it usually can steam them versus.
Okay, I like this.
But you undercook them that way. When you heat them up in the microwave, you can get them still.
It's big time high heat, so you can get that crust, but then also let them.
That's what I hate about reheating hamburgers. Is they're so dry, but there you go.
Yeah,
now I'm gonna steal that.
And also, we are now 30 episodes in, and I just realized this. This is the first time we've talked about grilling.
Wow.
How is that possible? The Grill Father here with the Grill Father t-shirt. Yeah. And we've literally got grill tongs on the wall. And this is the first time we've talked about grilling on the show. That's hilarious. Man. No, but I like that, because Liv and I, we've got to figure that out, because we've had that conversation. It's it'd be a lot easier, because we all do the same amount of networking, handshaking, and baby kissing crap around town. It's I get home and it's 6 o'clock, and okay, do I want to start cooking, or do we want to go get Taco Bell? It's we should probably cook something, but Elsie's got to go to bed in an hour. So
it's also, once you learn what your kids like and dislike, then you can make it on the weekend versus you start to make something during the week and they're like, I don't like this, and it's oh gosh,
how much food did I just waste?
Right. Sure. Really, really like that. How about you, DC? What's your dad hack?
Yeah, so mine, actually, before I came over here today, we had some time after church and ran up to Sam's Club to do some grocery shopping. Normally we do the whole Instacart thing, so we don't have to do it, but we're like, you know what? We got time. Both of us are here. Let's just
brave the box house.
Let's try it. Let's see how it works out. And
this was today. Oh, that's sample day.
Buddy.
Yeah.
No,
that's right.
But they didn't have them all out yet. They were rolling them out as we were shopping.
You got to get there.
Poor form, Sam's. Let's go.
But yeah, me just being me, and I'm like, oh man, how are we gonna keep the boys entertained the whole time while we're doing the whole grocery shopping, right? So we walk in, and luckily they have those automatic or robotic, whatever you want to call them, floor cleaners that go around Sam's and just clean the floors.
Roombas, but for floors.
I mean, but these things are massive, right? And they have a big seat on them too, but nobody drives them. They just drive themselves.
That's so cool.
And luckily, right when we walk in the door, there's one right there that's coming towards us, and the boys just think that's the coolest thing ever, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're checking it all out, walking around it and stuff, and I feel like that's the cool thing about being a parent is it really gets your creative juices going. And you're like, all right, I can use this to keep them entertained for 30, 45 minutes, however long it is that we're shopping. And so I thought of the idea. I was like, because Sam's does have 2 or 3 of those that just roam the store the whole time. And I'm like, boys, there's more of these around the store. Let's go try to find them. Okay. Right, and so
they're in the chicken aisle, and the toilet paper aisle.
It is convenient that I could have swore they were in all those aisles that had stuff that we had to get. Yeah, chicken, milk, all this stuff. But we looked there, they weren't there. But it was a good try. It was a good effort. But yeah, so we looked through the whole store looking for these floor cleaners, and the boys loved it, kept them entertained. And luckily, right when we at the checkout line, there did actually happen to be one. Right?
That's perfect. Yeah.
And so Liam started chasing it a little bit and was trying to climb up on it. I'm like, dude, stop! You can't do that.
But this is not a toy.
But he did good, and I was told him he couldn't do it, and he's like, okay, and comes over to us, and we get out of there. But I was like, man, I was somewhat proud of myself for that one.
That's pretty solid.
So yeah, that was my dad hack that I utilized today.
Nice. So. My dad hack isn't anything overly profound, other than just. Don't worry about being too cool or doing anything other than what makes your kids happy. I have officially crossed off the dad, like girl dad badge of honor.
Show us what you got.
The painted fingernail. Elsie, at almost 2 years old, of course, my wife she's got like a little fake makeup kit, but the one thing that is real in there is
of course.
nail polish. And it's like apparently super washable. I've had 3 showers.
I was like, it looks like you've washed
I've
that
had
one
3
a couple
showers
times.
since this has been on here, so apparently not. She was just running around with the little paintbrush at one point, and I was like, don't let her get on the couch. But yeah, so I had 2 different, like I had an engagement party for a friend, and then we had a Derby Day thing for our Rotary Club that evening, and Elsie wanted to paint my fingernail, and I'm like, screw it, go for it.
Yeah,
I don't
do
like
it.
I am less interested about what other people think is cool or not than I am my daughter having a fun time and like getting out of the dad experience what she wants out of it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care if I'm cool or not. I just want my daughter to have fun.
Yeah.
So,
and at the end of the day, I mean, you're going to be around Elsie way more than you're going to be around all these other people,
exactly.
right? So exactly like what you said. Who cares?
I had a couple people ask like, "What's on your finger there?" It's like my daughter decided she wanted to paint, and that's exactly what we're going to do because that's what she wanted to do.
I think I've actually used that excuse for other things. Something I can't remember what it was, but my wife was like, "What if somebody asks you what that's for?" And I'll just tell her whatever. I'll just tell them my kids did it.
Right.
Because nobody will ever question it then. They're like, "Oh, that's okay."
Yeah, I forgot
you
to
like a pass if you tell my kids did it.
100%. Like I didn't match my socks today, not on purpose. Like, oh well, yeah, my daughter picked them out, so that's what she wanted to pick out. Yeah.
Well, no, I just saw this week on like ESPN this MLB player, professional guy, makes millions of dollars. He had a necklace that his daughter.
I did see that.
Yeah, his daughter made, and it was like out of beads and had
little plastic
pink
beads
and whatever, all these girly colors on it, and he didn't care. He wore it during the game, and I was like, that's a good dad.
That's
right
pretty
there,
cool. Yeah,
right?
that's pretty awesome. Well, speaking of like dad stuff, Joel, I know a little bit about your story professionally and with your son in particular, having been born during the pandemic, and I hoped you'd share that story with us, just because I know it was obviously a pretty tough time, but also show you guys kind of overcame some adversity and dealing with on the parenting side of it in particular, a lot of different things. Share that story with us if you don't mind.
One more time.
One more again.
One more. So Baylor was born October of 2019. He was 3.5 weeks early, but still weighed 8 pounds, so he was a monster. So
dude's gonna be on the line.
Yeah, I mean, franchise. So he, at the time, the company I was with had merged with some other companies, and so we were kind of owned by this big parent company out of Chicago. So we were Springfield was kind of like the not even the low hanging fruit. We were like the low man on the totem pole as far as the company goes. So he's born October. December rolls around. You start hearing about Wuhan. Don't really think it's going to happen in the United States. Definitely not going to happen in
It'll get here
Missouri.
someday. It'll get here someday.
Whatever, big deal. Then January, February roll around, and lockdowns start happening. So at that point, we had a 6-year-old who school was canceled, so she's home trying to do education from home. Luckily, at the time, actually no, she was 5. So lucky at the time it was like kindergarten, so it wasn't like,
can you spell blue?
Lots of homework.
And it was kind of like, whatever. So, but she was still home at 5 years old, and then you got a 4-month-old boy who's not sleeping, and then you got 2 parents that both have full-time jobs. And it was the busy season for Amanda, so we're trying to trade on and off, who's working during the day and who's working in the afternoon, who's watching the kids. And so in April, he would have been 6 months. The big parent company calls, and they're like, and it was actually the president of the company who was super nice guy. I felt really bad. I think he called everybody individually, which was nice, but also ugh, that's terrible. I had to get that much bad news.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, we have to close down Springfield. And at the time, I'm like, nah, we got this. I'm gonna figure this out.
We're gonna figure this out.
I'm gonna go to the guy. I'm gonna go to the owner in Chicago and be like, you're not doing this, and he's gonna listen to me, right? He's like, who are you?
Where's Springfield? What is that?
I own a company. So prior to that, in December, January, before COVID got real hot, our Bentonville office, they were kind of like, we're done. Like, we're done with the big company. We're going to bounce and do our own thing. And the owner, Ryan Faust, was like, hey, I'm leaving. Do you want to come with and take some people with and have a Springfield office for me? And I was like, nah, man, I'm good. We're solid here.
Yeah, everything's going great.
Solid as a rock.
Never close. So then April rolls around. It's like, I think we got shut down like April 1 and April 2. I call him. I'm like, hey, are you still interested in a Springfield office?
Turns out.
I'm available.
I was just kidding.
Like, really available. And luckily he was like, yeah, we were thinking about adding more staff, and if I can add staff plus another market in Springfield, that's like a win-win for me. So I grabbed two kids from our old office. There was actually a girl working in Springfield for him at the time doing books, and she was like, yeah, I'd love to be back in an actual office versus working from home all the time. So we opened the office May 5th, 2020, and stuff was obviously still in lockdown, but we were essential services, so like we were able to come in, at our own discretion, fully masked or what, at the time.
All that stuff. So
we luckily, because this parent company was so big, I had a lot of clients that were kind of shied away from using us because they just didn't like the idea of this massive company out of Chicago doing work. And so once we left and opened our own deal, they were kind of like, yeah, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. We want to work with that local shop. Sure.
I was able to nail some nice big jobs right away and just kind of get us.
How reassuring is that?
Yeah,
Come
for
on.
real.
That's great.
Yeah.
What about from the whole parenting side, right? I mean, that's got to be challenging with a newborn and one in school and two full-time workers, right?
It was bad. There was I was going to mention this the first time. There's a.
Now's your chance.
I don't even know their names. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's parents, right? Her mom was De Niro's wife in Meet the Fockers.
I didn't even realize she was a Nepo baby. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
That's her mom. I don't know who her dad is, but they were interviewing her mom and dad, at a red carpet thing. And they were like, oh, you guys have been Hollywood parents forever, what's the secret? And the dad, who I can't remember his name, he was like, we never wanted to get divorced at the same time. and I think about that all the time because I'm like,
oh, that's hysterical.
And I would never ever say that I ever thought about getting divorced during COVID. But it's
challenging.
You get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? This is too much. And we just always kind of figured it out.
Yeah,
nice.
Right. And so it was always just like, we're in this together.
Yep.
What are we going to do at this point? Just call it quits?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And so, we just had to figure out.
The facts are the facts, and we're going to have to deal with them. Sure.
Right. And it was not fun. And luckily, the old company I was with was very accommodating as far as knowing I had kids, knowing we were stuck at home, trying to work and raise kids at the same time. BKD was the same way. They were very accommodating.
Nice.
I think that was just kind of the general, and maybe it was a Midwest thing. Maybe it was a Springfield thing. I
kind of think it was. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But we just kind of kept rolling through it and just thinking, it's gonna get better, right?
It has to.
Please, come on, come on.
I mean, there was many times where I would, take the kids, and when she was on her work time, I'd throw the kids in the car because for some reason they always wanted to nap in the car, and so I just throw them in the car and drive around empty streets like it was Armageddon.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And I'd roll up to Holdfast, and you could drive through their building and fill up a growler, and I'd fill it up and just cruise Drury Lane and drink my growler while the kids were sleeping. And
that's
it was
funny.
I just remember in the car being like, this is my life now. This is what I have to deal with the rest of my life.
Joel, when we first, I guess when you first got here today, we was joking about, being old guys and get off my lawn, making those jokes and stuff. And so, and you're talking about, when do you become an old dad, right? When's that hit? So I know you have, I don't want to say experience with it, but a little bit of a story.
He called you old.
I did not mean it that way, but I know you have a little bit more of a better story of like, oh, am I hitting that phase or not? Because I feel like I'm starting to hit that phase for me.
Well,
what does that say about me?
I just remember seeing, how old are you guys? I don't even know.
32 and 34.
Yep.
See, I'm the old guy here.
Yeah. We weren't going to say it.
How old do you think I am? Do you know how old I am?
Yeah, you're 36, 7, right around in there, right?
39.
Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
40 in like 2 months.
Okay, I knew you were a couple years older than me. I didn't know how much more. So
It was Brad Forbacher. I was walking into the Derby Deli, and I don't know how old Brad Forbacher is. I mean, he's got kids that are in college, so I'm guessing he's probably 10 years older than me.
okay, yeah,
But he looks young. He's fit. He does cool shit like Andes and beer, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
Pretty
cool businesses to be in, right?
And I remember I was walking up, and I had a hat on backwards, and he's like, "Oh man, I didn't recognize you." He's like, "Wearing that hat backwards." He's like, "I don't think I can pull that off anymore." And I thought, "Oh no, can I pull it off?"
Oh shit, am I gonna have to second guess this now?
Are my kids gonna be looking at me soon and being like, "Oh, why is he wearing his hat backwards?"
Right.
So embarrassing.
Dad, stop.
Like, can I wear Ed Hardy?
Oh,
Can I wear it already? Gotta get my affliction tees, dog. Let's go.
But I
The buckle
don't
jeans.
know, like, is there a certain thing? And it's always backwards hat for me because I like to wear a hat backwards. It just feels better.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, I'm like, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
But when is that? Is
Right?
There, do you get a letter in the mail?
True.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's when that AARP card shows up. Yeah.
Your hat retirement party. Yeah, man.
You get your first colonoscopy check. Once that happens,
Now's
you're done.
time. Yeah.
As soon as you start worrying about prostate
man.
cancer is when you should stop wearing your hat backwards.
Dude, that's funny because I just had that same thought just the other day because I don't wear a hat very often, but when I do, I'm like you. I'd much rather just wear it backwards than forwards because, like you said, it feels better. I know Bryant probably doesn't have to worry about this, but it hides the moneymaker when you wear it forwards like him.
Smart
every
ass.
time I put it on, I'm like, man, this just doesn't quite feel right or doesn't feel like it used to. Right?
Well, I can tell you that wearing a hat backwards when you've got glasses just makes you look like a fucking dweeb. And so I wear most of my hats. I also have such a gigantic head that all
What's
of my
that
hats. This is a 7 3/4.
That's what I wear.
Yeah. and so most of my hats that have the snapback back on them are on the very last tick unless you buy the custom
Right.
big ass head hats or whatever. And so it's I'm just gonna have to wear all of my hats forward all the time, and I also like kind of the flatter brim. So
what's that?
But
that big hat brand that's been going.
Yeah,
around
I saw that. I
NFL
saw
and the MLB.
yeah, I saw that on Instagram or something. The big ass hats or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've also been buying a lot of real tall hats, because
I
I have a big hat and I just like the way it feels.
Mhm.
But then I went to work and somebody's like, "Oh, nice hat. What are you like from
What
1970?"
are you, Elmer Fudd? What's going on here, big guy? I went.
Lee Petrino
Right.
hat?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It's like the old farmer out in the on his tractor. I got a hat from the brewery that's down on Lone Pine.
4x4 or
No. The other one, not 4x4. That's down in.
Yep.
What the hell?
It's not
Great
Alcatraz.
Escape.
Yeah, there
Great
we go.
Escape,
there
thank
you
you.
go.
I bought one of the. It was one of the first couple of weekends that they were open. I wanted to support the new brewery, and so
Yeah.
I went and bought one of the Great Escape hats. But it looks like some straight up Elmer Fudd shit, where it stands straight up, and it is a 6-inch long hat across the top.
Yeah.
There, it's like I'm gonna have to wear this one backwards because it
Longest
looks real strange on the
face
front.
and forehead ever.
Speaking of, we talked a little bit earlier about your job and you being an architect and your wife being a CPA. I'm an insurance guy. You're in the mortgage business.
Yep.
I know, and I haven't had to do this yet, mostly because my daughter's not old enough. But I assume that your job in particular might be difficult to explain to your kids.
Right.
Have you guys experienced any you and your wife really? Because I do math for a living. For your wife, might also be slightly difficult to explain to kids.
Know if my kids understand the concept of what my wife does. I mean, if I said, what does mom do? They'd probably be like, actually, I think I've asked my daughter that, and she's like, make money? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, well, yes,
Good point.
that's one thing.
But for some reason, my kids think that I either own the buildings or actually build the buildings. They'll be like, "Oh, Dad, there's a building in your building." And I'm like, "Close enough."
Yeah. I mean, it's at this point, there's no reason to correct them.
And so I'm like, I wish I was building that, or I wish I owned that. But like, I like they don't like design. What do you mean you design the building? Like they don't. That concept is like,
sure.
I'm like, I draw it so that they can build it. They're like, oh yeah, you own it. I'm like, no, I draw it. Oh, you build it. Well, yeah, I build it like on paper.
It's like, a computer program. It's called CAD.
We don't get that. Like they don't get the, like building something on paper and then like
sure.
somebody else actually builds it and somebody else owns it and they're like, so yeah, they think everything I draw. Like every time I signs up, they're like, oh, there's Dad's building. I'm like, that's not really, but
kind of, but not really. Yeah.
You can tell people that.
Yeah.
So,
right?
Do you guys have a pretty big? I mean, you're a pretty creative guy. Have you made a big push to make sure that your kids are creative too? Do you have anything that you really try to push for that?
I always like when I first got into architecture, I was like, oh, it would be so cool to have my kids do architecture as well.
Yeah.
But also, I'm always like, whenever I meet somebody and I'm like, oh, what are your kids doing? They're like, oh, they're going into pre-med. I'm like, yeah, have them do that.
Yeah. Med school sounds way better.
I should have totally done that. It's funny because our kids are very like one is very methodical and like wants to know how things are put together, where the other one is more creative. Like it's like one's almost like engineering and one's almost like creative architecture. And
nice.
I don't think I want to push them to do either one. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I should want to put. I see other architects who are like, oh yeah, I took over my dad's architecture firm. I don't know. It just never seems to be the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like because it's not. That'd be like saying like, oh, who was Picasso's son?
Right.
You know, where's Picasso's?
There's always
interesting
that,
point.
Mozart's
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't really push your child into a creative field. I don't feel like.
Right.
I get that. Yeah, 100%.
Well, yeah, and I think any field, because there's always going to be that comparison, right? No matter if it's sports. Look at Jordan's kids or LeBron's kids, or in your case, architecture. It's gonna be the same thing. Be like, oh,
And I don't want them to overshine me. Right?
It's
He's
more.
such a much better
It's
architect
more
than
of a
his
selfish
dad.
thing than
Actually,
anything.
Frank Lloyd Wright's kids were bound to be really good architects, but
Right.
he really like pushed them
Right.
towards
Like-
doctoring. It's like, get the hell out of here! Don't design better
He broke
buildings
their
than me.
fingers. Like,
That's funny. Oh man, that's
Well,
good.
and I work in a family business, and I am that next generation in our business, and so I am experiencing that currently. And for the last 10 years, I have been working to get out from under the shadow that is my dad. I mean, it's just in the last 5 years have I stopped being Greg's son and started being Bryant. And Dad and I are, starting to have these perpetuation conversations, these, when is he going to be done conversations. And my chief concern, besides he's always run the back of our office and I'm a sales guy, so trying to work that side of it. But one of my chief concerns is that he is an extreme relationship builder.
Yep.
And I think I'm okay at that, but I'm scared to death about keeping his relationships. And it's, that's Greg's son. I don't want to work with the kid.
Right.
I want to go
Yeah.
work with somebody
Right.
else.
They have a
I mean,
different viewpoint
the
of you.
kid is
Yeah.
almost 40 when this comes to
Right.
pass. But
I mean, Chelsea Bodie just did it with her dad.
and that's and Chelsea is actually one of the Chelsea and Logan Aguirre. Logan
Yeah,
is the
Logan
other
did
one.
it, yeah.
Logan, I have already picked Logan's brain about this once, and Chelsea's on my list of people too. I want to seek those folks out, but it's not the creative side.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's the business side
Right.
less than the design, because it takes artistic ability to do what you do, which it doesn't take to do our job.
And I wouldn't
Either of our jobs.
If either are more super artistic and creative and they wanted to do it, I wouldn't push them away. But I'm definitely not like
You have to do that. Yeah.
'cause, you can't push creativity on somebody. They either are or they aren't. That's
Right.
the thing. And I'm not that super creative. I'm just good at taking an idea and projecting it to a client and getting them on board with. You know what I mean? There's way different between being artistic and creative. Big difference.
I can appreciate that, certainly.
That's a good point.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But I think it brings up a good question too, especially having kids or the ages of our kids, young kids. How would you explain what you do for work to them so that they understand it, right?
Yeah, as soon as
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, I don't know.
What's your answer?
Well, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, the boys have never really asked me what I do, but all of our locations have the big I don't know what they're called. The big sign, basically a billboard out there out front that shows,
big TV screens.
Yeah. My picture and everybody else that works there, their pictures. And so the boys see that and they're like, oh, that's Daddy's work. That's where Daddy works. But that's why I was thinking, I was like, how would I like very simplistically tell them what I do? And I guess I'd be like, I guess help people get in homes or buy a home,
Yeah.
And I still don't think even saying that they would really understand it, because they just probably think, homes is what everybody has. Everybody has a home, right?
The concept of like borrowing money.
Right. Yeah. That's
what a complex thing for a little
too
kid.
deep. Yeah, that's way too deep for them. So
like kids think that things are like $1.
Right.
Well, it's $1, right?
Yeah.
And also, what the hell is $1?
Right. Yeah, you give a kid a quarter and they think they're rich, right? So, So yeah, I don't know. I really need to think about that.
Sitting here thinking about that, because one of my like little taglines that I use for our agency is protecting families and business owners against the biggest risks they face every day.
Say that to a 2-year-old.
But in the back of my head, I'm going, one, she's not going to know. What's the biggest risk? What is that? What's a risk?
What's that mean?
What is a risk? I don't even.
Against what?
Yeah, it's like pirate attacks. I assume that's what's in my movies. Like I like Moana, so I'm assuming it's like big. Well, it's exactly. It's big weather thing. So maybe that
the big crab,
the little coconut guys.
Yeah, exactly. Those terrifying little coconut guys with the blow darts.
They're so cute.
But yeah, that is an interesting question. Like, and Elsie's almost 2, so we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But I also secretly, and if she doesn't want to do it, I'm not going to push. But it would be really cool to have a 4th generation in our family business.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I mean, I'm like 4th. I'm 4th or 5th generation that I could take over the farm.
Yeah,
home.
right. Yeah.
And at first, when I first got out of college, I was like, oh, I'll do this architecture thing for a while, and then once Dad retires, I'll go back and run the family farm. And I'm like, now he's literally called me like 2 days ago. He's like, this is my last year. I'm done. And I am like, okay. Like, there's no way
interest.
I would move back to do the farm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You said it's Northern Illinois too. Yeah. So that's.
Okay.
I mean,
so that's like crop farm.
Well, I was gonna say that's crop up there, right? Yeah. I am a proud 3rd generation Young in our family business, but I'm trying to find that happy balance, because just like with sports, I don't want to push anything on her too hard to where then it turns her off of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm scared to death that like Elsie's not going to want to work in the insurance business if I'm just beating her around the head and neck with, let's talk insurance, be an insurance agent.
I mean, you got like, John and Billy McQuarrie, they came into their family pharmacy, and that family pharmacy was like 3rd or 4th generation, but they weren't pharmacists, right? They were tech guys, and they figured out how to like utilize their skills.
That's a good point.
Pharmacy,
yeah,
which actually made it a great thing, because then they sold this technology for the pharmacy. And
I'm just hoping that Elsie's a lot smarter than Dad, so she can do all the like exactly that. Turn it into change our business in a way that is like transformational. So I'm excited about that.
I got a good Chelsea Bodie Pearson Kelly story.
Oh yeah.
So they do our printers.
Yeah.
And I was coming back to the office one day, and I saw the Pearson Kelly van like in front of our office, and I was like, oh, they must be delivering like ink or something.
Sure.
And so I walk in, and there's a guy like getting a signature for dropping something off, and he turns around, and it's Chelsea's dad.
Oh, is it really?
Like,
that's funny.
I go, oh, the printer man's here. He like kind of like looked at me, and I was like, it's interesting, because like. Because obviously he's transitioned out.
Yeah,
he probably wants to stay busy and do stuff.
Right.
Like, maybe some guy got sick and she called to see if he could help.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just wants to stay busy and he's like, yeah. I'll go deliver ink. Like,
why not? What the hell? I'll just go drive the trucks around.
I was like, you used to own the company,
right?
And now you're driving ink around town. Yeah. That's really funny.
That's cool. Well, no, you was talking about sports there just a minute ago, and actually Joel and Joel's son Baylor and Liam, they play soccer on the same nights, different fields, but together. And we was talking a little bit about that kind of off, before we started recording here. And we've had that conversation a lot with a lot of different dads, is like, when do you get them into sports? How involved do you get? How much do you push them? Are you pushing them towards just one sport? Sure. Are you pushing them towards multi-sports? So tell us a little bit about, what's your guys' theory on, how you handle sports and how hard you push them and things like that.
So in our family, in our household, we were both athletes. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. Amanda played college volleyball.
I didn't know that. Cool.
And so we've always, from the beginning, kind of been like, we really want our kids into sports.
Mm-hmm.
So when Bradley became of age to get into soccer, because, and then, to be honest, like, I didn't actually start organized sports until I was 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
That was just a thing. Like,
That's another topic of
that was our
conversation lately.
generation. Yeah.
just that's all you had. I mean, yeah, you go to camps during the summer, but like, all these traveling things, like that was not
it's
a
a
thing.
very different thing now. Sure.
And so she got into soccer, and it was, I told myself I'm not going to be like how it was when I was growing up. I'm not going to be hard on her. And of course, the very first game, it was like, get in the car. We're like, all right, let's talk about what you did wrong. Let's talk about what we can do better.
Ways to improve.
And I really think I pushed her. I got her worried about, team sports and worried about contact sport, like just being aggressive, and like she didn't have that aggressive bone in her body yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying she won't ever get it, but I think I kind of like, she's definitely shied away from anything team sport related. So she has swimming and gymnastics now, which is fine. So like, but even now, it's very hard for either my wife and I to go, even to like we were at swimming, and she was just like, I just wish Bradley would like want to be better. Like she just didn't have that like aggressiveness in her, and she wishes she had that. And so we're just trying to be very like calm and very patient with her, to be like, we don't want to try to push her any further. Hopefully she'll eventually get to a point where she wants to try other sports, get her into different camps to see what she likes.
Yeah.
I mean, we would love if she played basketball and volleyball, but if she doesn't play either one, we just have to be okay with that.
Sure.
But it's that, even in the moment, like when you're saying it now, when I'm saying it now, like, yeah, I can be okay with that. But then when you actually
really think about it,
like, I really want her to do this.
Yeah.
That's
a tough
with
spot.
Baylor, when we go to soccer, I'm just kind of like, you do you, bud.
Yeah.
Like,
Are you having fun?
Well,
are we still doing this?
he's
Are you having
out
fun?
there,
Okay,
like,
good.
right.
Then we're good.
He's having fun saying that he scored. He kicks the ball and he's like, I scored.
A dinosaur,
And
yes.
he
I love
rolls
that.
like a dinosaur, and I'm like, whatever, man.
Rocket kicked it. Yeah,
do
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna push anymore. But it does. It's definitely like hard as an athlete parent to be like, just to watch it, and like, it's like you don't want to want it more than they want it.
Right.
Right. That's just
Right.
not right.
Yeah.
You do that, but oof, it's tough.
Yeah, and I think too, especially at the young age, like Baylor, Liam. I mean, even Bradley, for she's still super young. I think just letting them kind of figure it out at first, because it's like, even if you do try to, tell them what they did wrong, tell them what they could improve on, how much of that are they actually going to take in?
Yeah, is that going to
and comprehend?
Sure.
These traveling teams, I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of burnout.
Oh,
in the next 10 years.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was thinking that. I mean, you said you started in 4th grade. I started in 3rd grade, and my dad was my coach. I remember that from like 3rd grade on. It was every car ride home, like you were saying. Well, this is what you did wrong. This is what you could improve on. And like you're saying, I think there was a little bit of burnout there, that started early on because of that. It always wasn't like, hey, was it fun?
Yeah.
No, it's, this is where you get, and I mean, from the parent side too, it's like, I can see where that comes from too, because you're just trying to help your kid out, make them better, all this stuff too. But it's a fine line, right? That you're flirting with there.
Yep.
So, what's right, what's wrong, and each kid's different.
My dad talked me out of golf.
Yeah.
Like, I was the opposite of your daughter, where Dad wanted me to play golf because my dad's a golfer. And so he put me in golf lessons, but I didn't like the individual nature of the sport. I'm a social butterfly. I did not like having to stand out in a fairway by myself and like focus on hitting this ball towards that hole. I wanted to go be in the dugout with my friends. I wanted to go be on the sideline at soccer with my friends, which also didn't translate well to being good at team sports, because all I wanted to do was hang out with my friends. So like, until high school football rolled around, like that was the only sport that I actually like kind of locked into. But it's interesting because take the sports out of it, my mother's a music teacher. And she was adamant that my brother and I were going to be involved in music. And so she put us in piano lessons early, and she was adamant that we were going to be involved, and I hated every minute of it because Mom wanted us to do it, insisted that we did it. And then the only way we were allowed to quit piano was once we hit middle school and band was a thing, and then you had to be in band. It was either band or choir, and Drew and my brother and I both decided we were going to be in band, so I'm playing the trombone all the way through. And then I realized going to high school, I don't want to be in the freaking marching band. I don't want to have to deal with lugging a
playing football.
Trying to play football and also trying to lug an instrument around and learn how to walk, the goose step thing that they have to do marching. So she said, okay, you can quit band, but you have to be in choir. And so it was one of those deals where I always kind of resented that.
Yep.
I always, and so I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And so frankly, I was a shit during most of the choir stuff that I did. And I did a lot of choir stuff. I mean, I was in different choirs and different musicals and stuff throughout high school, but I kind of always resented it because Mom was just had that thumb right on your forehead. You got to go do it. You have to do these things. Didn't love it. So I do.
Do you look back though? And you're like, I'm glad she did that.
I'm glad she did it because frankly, music early in my life helped with math a lot. The understanding of numbers and the understanding of rhythm and holding a pitch. I mean, even to this day, singing songs to my daughter. Like I appreciate the fact that Mom put me into those things and really pushed me to do them. But I also now, having the value of hindsight, look back on it and go, God, I was a shit. Why was I such a shit that why your parents know better? And now again, we're having to live our own nightmares because we're trying to teach our kids or trying to push our kids to do these things. And it's like, oh crap. Okay, yeah. And now I'm gonna have to figure out how to explain to my kid that no, this really is a good idea. I promise. This is why you should do this. Right. And my parents said the exact same shit to me, and I just let it go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. Well, and it's like at the end of the day too. Our parents were in the exact same positions we are. They were doing what they thought was best for us, right? Just like you're talking about with Elsie, Joel's talking about with his kids, I'm talking about with mine. Like, yeah, you do what you think's best, again, and that's the worst part about parenting is you don't know if it's right until several
find out when
years
they're 20.
down the road, right? I mean, it's just, who knows? So you do the best with what you got there.
Yeah.
But Joel, kind of the unofficial segment that we ask everybody there or here
this
is
has become my new favorite one.
I know, right? Is having kids. There's always funny stories involved with kids, no matter what it is. So you got 2 kiddos. So share with us some of your funny stories that you have with those 2.
Okay, I got 2.
Perfect.
Okay. The first one's a little long. The second one's short.
Perfect. We got time.
So, like I was saying earlier, both of our kids were both early. Bradley was 3 weeks early. Baylor was 3.5 weeks early.
That's still up 8 pounds. Holy shit.
I know.
Bradley, Amanda went into labor with Bradley on a Thursday morning, and it was the morning of the Leadership Springfield retreat.
Oh, nice.
The first
yeah.
So,
oh no,
I wake up.
It was just a 2-day retreat,
right?
Yeah.
So I wake up, and she's like, "I'm going to labor," and I'm like,
"You've got to be kidding me! You've got to be kidding me!"
4 hours. And I literally go, "Do you think you can have it in 4 hours?" She's like, I don't know.
I've never done this before.
I certainly have no idea.
And so I'm like emailing whoever the director was at the time, like, hey, I got a kid coming, and I may be a little late. And so
or not.
We get up, we go to the hospital. She was in labor all day. We have her that night, that mid-afternoon, and so she was done, and I was like, she knew I was kind of like Joan, because I have huge FOMO. And she knew I was kind of like, and she's like, you can go if you want, and so I emailed or called whoever, and I was like, hey, I know I missed the first day of the retreat. I can make it tomorrow. And they're like, no, you can't miss any days of the first retreat. And I was like, that's your rule. They're like, you're out.
They kicked you to the curb.
And I was like, I'm going to go to the SBJ, and I'm
going to tell everybody.
Let them know.
And they're like, you can apply next year. You'll probably get in. And I remember being like, if I don't get in next year, I swear I'm going to freak out. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm out. So we had Bradley. And with her, we had her mid-afternoon, And so this is part of the funny story.
Yeah.
We had her mid-afternoon, and we were like up in the recovery room, and Amanda's like, well, you can go home and, shower, since we had to, we got up in the middle of the night and you've been here all day. Like, you can go home and shower, get changed, come back. I was like, yeah, I'm on it. So I run home real quick, and I shower. I'm like completely like tired. Kind of, I don't know what, I'm just very disoriented.
What day it is, yeah.
And like there was a towel on the floor, and I was like, I'll use that towel. And so I like dry myself off with this towel, and like go back to the hospital. And I remember thinking on the way to the hospital, that towel was kind of damp. That was weird. What was that towel doing on the floor? And then I get back to the hospital, and I was like, what was that damp towel on the floor from, Amanda? And she was like, oh, the one that my water had broke into, and I cleaned up all the, and I was like, are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Well, I'm clean now.
So that was the first delivery story. The second part of the delivery story was Baylor came. Baylor, she went into labor around the same time during the night. No. She went into labor right after we went to bed, and so I woke up and I was like, "Can I shower before we go, so we don't have this fiasco
and get a clean towel?"
And she's like, "Yeah, we got time. Like, jump in the shower, no big deal." And so like she wasn't having like real bad contractions, and it was like, okay. So I shower real quick, and like we're driving. There's like nobody on the road. It's like midnight, but we're driving, and she's like, they're starting to come, and I'm like, You're in a lot more pain this time than I remember the previous drive.
Right.
And so I'm like sitting there like timing her contractions, and I was like trying to Google.
I need to be driving faster, don't I? I need to be driving faster.
Are they supposed to be this fast, this quickly apart? And so we get there, and she's like pretty bad pain at that point. So I get her in. We're the only ones there, and I get her into like what they call it, triage room.
Yeah, triage. You got it. Yeah.
So I get her in that room. And I'm like, okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab the bags. And as I'm walking out, it said, like, if you leave, check in and get a name tag. Mm-hmm. And I was like, shoot. I was like, and I kind of look at him like, hey, I'm leaving.
Right. Remember me.
Yeah.
I literally walk out, park the car, come right back in with more bags. And I'm walking up to the guy. He goes, oh, do you have a badge? And I go, I just left. I just looked you in the eye.
Yeah, we just made eye contact.
And the security guy goes, he just left, dude. He's fine. And so they let me in. And by the time I get back to the room, she is like in bad shape.
Oh, wow.
Like, to the point where they're like, honey, you got to come out of the bathroom. Like, we got to get you. We got to look at you. They get her out of there. They get her into a table. And they're like, yep, you're 10 centimeters. Like, you're ready to go. And I was like, holy.
He's almost here. Yeah.
And we had a doula the first one.
Yeah.
And the second one, I'm like, we need a doula. She was awesome. She was doing stuff that I was like, I'm not touching that. But so we had interviewed a doula the day before, but Baylor was 3.5 weeks early. So all of a sudden he came.
So were you guys like planning like maybe this one will be early too? Because the last one was.
We were just like.
Definitely gonna make it to the due date.
Right? Yeah. We didn't even think. I guess I just assumed like, oh, early the first time was just a fluke. This one she'll go full term this time. He came 3.5 weeks early, so yeah, like we interviewed the doula. Luckily, we didn't hire her because I'll tell you why. Because so we get in. I get to the triage room. They're like, honey, you gotta get out of the bathroom. They check her. She's 10 centimeters. We go to the next room. Well, no, they go. She's gonna have this baby. They literally wheel her to the next room over. The doctor comes in, who wasn't her doctor. Her doctor was like, it was a different shift or whatever.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks ahead of time. He was not ready to go.
The doctor that's there she had just started working in that hospital. She's looking around the room going, where do you guys keep the gloves?
Oh,
like,
no.
Honey,
oh, boy.
are you kidding me?
Like, this is a joke.
And so I have no doula. This doctor seems like she's just graduated med
Her
school.
first baby delivering. Yeah.
And I remember Amanda being like, hey, I need you during this one to be a little more present with me. And I was kind of like, what do you mean? She's like, you just didn't say anything during the first one. I think the first one was just like, I don't know what to say.
Right.
I'm just trying to like
so
be
new.
there for her.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll hold your hand. And,
I don't know.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't be saying stuff like, you can do it. She's like, I don't want to hear that.
So what the hell am I supposed to say?
Try harder.
It was like, she's like, you're doing great. Like, just encouragement.
Yeah.
There were certain phrases she didn't want me to say. And so we get into the next room. She's 10 centimeters. She's screaming. She's already kind of like, I think I want an epidural.
Too late, baby.
Not at 10 centimeters,
late.
baby. That's not happening.
There's no doula. And in my head, I'm like, trying to hype myself up. Like, all right, you got to be on point. You got to say these things. This is what she said. This is the things she said that you need to say. And I was like, kind of repeating them in my head. And I was like, all right, you ready? Are you ready? And like, I go and I hold her hand. And I look up and I go, here's the baby. And I was like, I look at her, I go,
did I do good?
So it's done? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And I go, and the nurse comes in and she goes, we need to get your wristband on you. Hadn't even got a wristband on Amanda.
Oh, man.
And then they go, will you sign this form that says we can deliver your baby? And I'm like, don't sign it, babe. This one's free. They didn't get the permission.
This one or the next one? Yeah.
Sign quick notes. And so, yeah.
Free baby. We did it. Way to go, team.
She was in labor for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And
That was, you had a similar experience.
Yeah, our second one.
It was
like,
crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. I think like from the time we checked in till the time Brody was in our hands was less than 30 minutes.
That's
And it's just
wild.
must be a second child thing.
Wow.
And so, we were upstairs, like, it was like, I guess we're
So-
done. Like,
Yeah.
Did you like ask her, hey, well, can I tell you all the affirmations I thought of ahead of time? Like, don't say you can do this,
Babe,
but
I
like,
was
here's all the
so
things I was
prepped.
gonna say.
I was
did
so
know that. I
prepped
was
for
like,
this.
babe, I was hyping myself up.
Yeah.
I was so ready.
I was ready to do this.
Next time.
Good for you, man. I love that.
So the other funny story was potty training for our son, who's the stubborn one, right?
Yeah.
So with our daughter, it was kind of like the whole like, hey, if you do this, you get to wear big girl undies, like hyping her up,
Right.
like, and she was like, yeah, I'm all in. And I mean, she potty trained we did it over March Madness weekend.
Nice.
She was done. That was it. There was no accidents after that.
Wow.
Actually, there was no accidents ever. She went from diapers to underwear, and it was done.
Sweet.
So we're like, oh, knock on wood, maybe we'll have the same with him. Nope.
Nope.
I keep hearing girls are easier.
Mr. Stubborn, he was like, we're like, do you want to be in big boy undies? Like, you don't want diapers. Those are yucky. He goes, and you go, no, thank you. And I was like, oh, I'm going to punch you in the nose. Like, it was almost
Listen
like,
here,
it was
you little
almost like
shit.
he was like, I'm going to be polite, but I'm also going to like, it's almost going to like, kind of like,
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, and he'd like look at me and I'm like, I don't like you.
Yeah. Don't use that thank you as a weapon against me.
And so he finally did potty train, and he's been great. Like, he's hardly had any accidents, and I don't remember what kind of like what trigger made him snap to be like, I want to wear underwear versus diapers. But now his big thing is he loves to pee outside. Like, that's his thing.
We love a country pee on the
Yeah.
Decent
Right.
Dads podcast. We love a country pee.
Like, we were at Mother's the other weekend, and Amanda goes, I think your son
Mother's
I
Brewing
think-
Company.
Mother's Brewing Company.
Cheers, pros.
She goes, I think your son needs to pee, and I think he wants to pee outside. And I go, well, why do you say that? And I turn around, and he's walking towards me with his wiener out. Like, and I go, no. And I like, we got to
Can't
go
do that
inside,
here.
buddy. We can't do that here. This is, you need to learn what's appropriate and what's not. But he loves to pee outside in our yard, and he just,
that's
I
funny.
always tell him, like, you need to like be able to like lean, so like you're not peeing down your leg.
Yeah, sure.
You got to like figure out the.
There's an
lean.
art to it,
Right,
okay?
there's an art to it.
For sure.
So I'm inside doing something, and the kids are outside, and Amanda's working. I think this was last weekend or the weekend before. And Bradley comes in, and she goes, Dad, Baylor tried to pee outside. And I was like, oh, he didn't do the lean.
Yeah.
Do the lean.
Probably got his pants all wet. And I go, oh, did he get his pants all wet? She goes, no. I go, okay, then like what?
Then what are we talking about right now?
And she's like, well, he was peeing. And I think he looked down to see, and he like pointed it up, and he peed in his face. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, did he? And then he walks in with his arms out like this, and there's pee dripping off his nose. And I go, you're getting in the shower right now. I like literally, I strip his clothes off and take him to the shower. I go, wash your face off.
Thoroughly.
So, yeah,
That's a first for me. I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Also good for you, buddy. Like,
Right?
Yeah.
Your face.
Solid
Yeah,
stream. Good
you
for
got
you,
some
pal.
PSI in there, right?
Some PSI.
Good
Yeah, that's perfect. I love hearing because all these dads, everybody we've had on has had their own funny stories,
Yeah.
and inevitably they're just full of them. So I appreciate you sharing those. Well, man, we'd love to finish our episodes with everybody's favorite part of the episode, Dad Joke of the Week.
What time?
It's Dad Joke of the Week.
There you go.
So, Derek, what's your dad joke this week? You got anything good?
No, well, we'll see. We'll see here in a minute. But
As soon as I finish telling this joke, I'll let you know.
Right. So what do you guys call someone with no body and no nose?
Oh boy, I think I know the answer, but I want you to tell me anyway.
Nobody knows.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I was on there.
I know it's in here somewhere.
That's pretty good. Nobody knows. Well, my best friend from college. Have you heard me talk about Rusty before?
Mm-hmm.
My best friend from college, Rusty. Russ has been balding since we were like 22. Like and I'm being generous at 22. I'm pretty sure he was balding.
We all got good hair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. There's some decent hair in here. Rusty, not so much. And I think
Rusty.
he's 34 and he full blown buzzes his head now. But because he started balding at 22, he decided that he was going to start a flight company exclusively for people like himself. And he decided that he was going to call it Receding Airlines.
Yeah.
That's as close as I get to a dad joke,
Rusty
boys.
is so creative.
Poor Russ
Good job,
and his
Rusty.
Receding Airlines. I'm definitely recording this and then sending this to him later. He's going to hate it. Because the bald part is real. Rusty's bald.
You know what's funny is that I thought the joke was going to be something he told you.
No.
Rusty gave me this joke, and you completely. I was like all in. I'm like, Rusty sounds like a good guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
And
Yeah.
then you said it, and I'm like,
Damn it. Hook, line, and sinker.
totally got
Hook,
me.
line, and sinker. Well, Joel, what kind of dad joke do you have today, pal?
So I guess my favorite one, which is not really a joke at all, but like, I always get my kids with it because they love surprises.
Perfect.
So I'll always be like, I'll come out like, oh my gosh, guys, guess what? Guess what? Like, what? I go, chicken butt.
Yeah,
Like,
boy.
they hate it. When I say chicken butt, they're like, I freaking hate you. Like, you can tell they just are so cynical about the chicken butt. But
Perfect.
I really like jokes, and my daughter got this pack of jokes that it's almost, some of them kind of they're almost a little adultish.
Nice.
And so those are the ones I love. And so the one I love is what does a garlic do when it's hot?
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I got nothing on that one. Yeah.
Takes its clothes off.
Takes its clothes off. Yeah, that's solid.
And so I always kind of try to use it with Amanda. I'll be like, hey Amanda, why don't you pretend that you're a hot garlic?
Take them clothes off,
Always
girl.
like, you're disgusting.
Shut up. I don't like you.
I'm very cold. I'm very cold garlic right now.
And actually, this is literally in a kid's.
That's really funny. Like,
This was in a kid's thing. It was what did the fish say when it hit the wall?
oh boy, I don't know.
Damn.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, was that a kid's?
Right?
Really?
I was like,
So we have classified those on the show as uncle jokes, in that like your brother might tell your kids that, but you certainly wouldn't do that yourself. Yeah. So oh, nice work, dude. Well, this has been a fun episode.
Man, it has.
Despite the fact that it's been an hour and a half.
Has it? Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, a couple hours.
I don't know what the hell happened. Appreciate you being here, pal.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming to tell us your stories and sharing, what all you guys have been dealing with. And also being accommodating, because everybody's favorite or least favorite, Bryant, is not very good at working the camera. So
At least we found it.
That's right.
yeah, at least we caught it early, right?
Before we recorded the whole
bless.
thing.
Get a whole hour and a half into it and have to redo everything.
Actually.
So I do have to say, everybody out there on the internet, thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all the social media stuff.
Absolutely.
Shoot us your dad hacks, shoot us your dad jokes. We love to hear them. They're a lot of fun. You may hear a mower in the background,
hope
which
they
is
do.
half
I
the
hope
fun.
they do.
And it's actually really fun because the dadding never stops. That's my father who decided that he wanted to mow my lawn as a like, hey, I haven't taken care of you in a while. I'm going to come mow your lawn.
Sounds like he's hitting the windows.
Sounds like he's going to blow some windows out with the rocks here. So, everybody, thank you out there on the internet for watching. And I just got to say, hey, way to go, Decent Dad. Yeah. Nice work.
Way to go, Joe. Good job, buddy.
Thanks, pal. And unless anybody else has anything else,
I got nothing.
All right. We'll see you next time. Your weapon, sir.
Finish him.
Finish him.